Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Araya Swift Lifestyle Pro Series. We're live from Talladega for Race 10. This is the Chop Shop 200. I'm your lead announcer, Ernest Lepping, and joining me in the booth, as always, is right-hand man Jacob Bell and executive producer Harold Darner. How's it going, guys?
It's going good, man. I'm excited to be back in action. Our first race of 2022. Feels like we've been off forever, man. Last race was, well, our last broadcast technically was actually our fundraiser event that we did over 2 weeks ago at this point. So it's been a long time. Got through the holidays, got through the New Year's, and I'm ready to be here at Talladega all week long, man. The racing's going to be incredible. I cannot wait to see what happens tonight in the Swift Lifestyle Pro Series.
I guess you could say our last broadcast was last year.
It really was, though. For a lot of these drivers too. I think they felt like that. I know a lot of people were gunning to get back into the virtual race seat, and we've even had a lot of races last week where these guys were putting up Talladega lobbies on their own and having some fun and honestly getting some drafting experience and practice with one another.
Yeah, I actually got out there with Halda and Weishart and them and Forrest Smith. And there's a comment about the broadcaster actually putting his car out there on the racetrack. I'll have to, shout out to Mr. Smith and Halda for putting all the dents in the One to Go Studios machine. A lot of pushing around this racetrack, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'll be something to keep our eye on here tonight too with these race cars. A lot harder to push in the ARCA car than, let's say, the truck series that we'll see tomorrow night in those race cars. So it's a completely different ball game, Hunter. And I think tonight's going to show us just how wild this series can get.
Oh, absolutely, and especially with the off week, though, which it felt like, an eternity. Some of these guys, they're going to show up. Well, they're not even in the lobby right now, but some of these guys are going to show up. They're not even going to practice. Like, before we went live, Ryan Swan's been in the lobby for about 15 or 20 minutes, and he has yet to go out there and get a lap time in. So some of these guys are going to be rusty at just getting back in the rhythm of things, just getting the feel of the car, and then their sense of urgency, cars around them. And it could create, not saying it's a certainty, but chances are the big one likely to strike tonight.
Yeah, I think we can pretty much count on the big one happening tonight. That's a given at every single time we go to Talladega or Daytona, and it's going to be about trying to avoid it and trying to miss it and keeping that race car clean for 75 laps. As you see the Gary Lewis machine there, Hunter, that number 69 car has got some fresh paint.
Got some fresh paint and looking to get a nice win to secure himself in the playoffs. Let's go and take a look at our playoff standings, shall we? Because we've only got 3 races left, including tonight at Talladega. And this is a perfect racetrack for drivers who are on the outside looking in to win and get their spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is our playoff picture heading into tonight. You see the names locked in: Matthew Robinson, Jordan Hurley. We'll touch on that in a moment. Nicholas Halda is locked in. Rick Christensen, we'll also touch on that in a moment. And James Shamewell. If those names locked in, they've gotten a victory at some point in these first 9 races of the season to get themselves into the playoffs. The rest, the names you see in yellow, those are drivers that have pointed their way in and are currently in the playoff position. But a lot can change in one race and in one night. And you see Trevor Williams just 1 point out of the playoffs behind JJ Wang. So a lot can change, tonight here at Talladega. But the point I did want to make, Jordan Hurley, the number 02, he has actually been suspended for tonight's race for an incident that occurred over 2 weeks ago now. So he will not be in the field tonight. And the flip side to that is he will also not meet the minimum start requirement either to qualify for the playoffs. So kind of a double whammy there on Hurley. And Rick Christensen as well, the number 19. If he misses tonight's race, which for the moment I don't see him in here yet, he will also not have the minimum starts required. So 2 names that are locked in are actually going to be opening up spots for the guys in red.
Yeah, those you see the first 2 out being Trevor Williams and Rick Ward. Both of those would be in the playoffs currently if Rick Christensen does not make it. And Jordan Hurley, in his suspension, he loses that guarantee of a playoff spot. So only 4 drivers right now are currently locked in for the playoffs. Looking at behind those 2 guys, it would be Caleb Steimer and Dominic D'Elia. This is a perfect track for both of these guys to go at and really get their first win at and to lock themselves up in the playoffs at the same time.
Yeah, I think the table's pretty much open for anybody who wants to come in and try to steal a win here tonight. JJ Wang, that's a great point you make there. He has been one of those guys who's probably going to need a win to lock himself in at this point. He is in the picture currently, but man, is it really starting to get tight around that cutoff line.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking through, our last 4 races we've had 4 different winners. And this is a track where we could see a surprise winner here. So could we see 5 different winners in our last 5 races?
I don't know. I think if it was going to happen, it'd probably be at a track like this. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see one of the regulars that we've seen in Victory Lane get it done as well. This track, for as crazy as it can get, it's not entirely based off of luck. There is a little bit of talent, a little bit of skill you have to use to navigate this racetrack and try to find your way to the front at the end of tonight's 75 laps.
Yeah, I'm looking through, and guys like Dustin Carroll could come through, get a win. Jeremy Horn. Also looking at Kevin Ace and Brandon Hedrick. Either one of those guys, they can somehow get a win. It would be at this track to get in.
Well, we look at here the number 87 car of Halda, who is our Daytona winner. So he has that advantage of having the restrictor plate win already in under his belt and be able to go for 2 for 2.
Yeah, and there you see that's the 4 of Paul Irving on the bottom. He had a good race last week at Pocono. Well, more than 2 weeks ago, but our last race was at Pocono, and he blended in with the wall, a different sort of camouflage up in northern Pennsylvania. But he had a good race, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was a I would say surprise driver who steals the win away from someone trying to lock themselves in.
Looking here, the guys, they're starting to look for dance partners, try to see each other, how they're going to work, how to pit off of turn number 4 as we see the number 4, Mr. Irvin, going right down the pit lane. Blowing these cars up when they're wound up to 184, so...
Yeah, that's another key thing that you'll be looking at, as Paul Irvin just showed you. We've had a number of races go long enough to where we see green flag pit stops, and a track like Talladega, it can honestly be tricky because some guys might send out their virtual hand out the window or say, hey, I'm pitting this time, and then some drivers will just not pay attention to that at all for some reason, and it could create a wreck for drivers who are coming on the pit road, and that could end up being the big one.
Yeah, getting on the pit road, I was going to touch on what you were saying there. Getting on the pit road certainly has led to, some chaotic moments at this racetrack. And we saw it at Daytona, right? First race of the season. A lot more cars than we have tonight, but it was still a chaotic race from start to finish. And one of those drivers who we actually haven't seen in a few weeks is Eric Shugart in the number 2 right there. We thought he was the winner, Hunter, for a few moments there at Daytona with that caution flag coming out on that green-white checkered. We weren't sure if it was going to be him or Nick Halda. Ended up scoring, handed it to the 87 and Nick Halda. But man, Shugart, we thought stole one at Daytona, and happy to see him back tonight.
Yeah, haven't seen him in a while. Good to see him back in that blue and white number 2s. You see him flying through the pack right now. He'll definitely be one of the names we'll have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, he did exactly what I was talking about earlier. He made it to the end of the race and was up front with a chance to win. That's most of the battle at a track like Talladega or Daytona. So we'll have to see if he can follow it up with another stellar performance at a plate track here tonight.
Yeah, and should also mention, for those that do take their chance at qualifying, you will see a couple drivers just drop to the rear of the field. Like, they'll go to the backstretch and then they'll pull off below the apron, kind of get a feel for their car, and don't want to be in that big pack because don't want to be in a big wreck on lap number 3.
Well, as you say that, I would talk about team racing here. Team racing is a big deal. So you can have a Samson Motorsports might all decide not to qualify and start in the back. And as long as they're in that little group, they got maybe 4 cars, they can keep their own when they're not losing the draft to the point where they're losing. Oh, there's a big wreck out the back.
Oh, that might be a preview of what we're going to see
up there. Yeah. I was wondering when it was going to break loose. So we had a big old pack for a moment there, but at the end here of practice.
But you're going to see some of these guys. They're gonna purposely stay back to where they're a few seconds away from the lead pack, and they're not going to lose the draft because they'll have their own. But they'll just stay out of the big one. If it happens, they'll be able to be wreck avoidance and then be there at the end when they need to be.
Yeah, one thing I was also going to touch on, in the middle of that pack, there was a car, I think 4th car on the bottom, that blinked in and out. how much of a disadvantage is that going to be during the race?
Well, hopefully for everybody's sake, including the admins here tonight, that won't even be a factor for our race. But we'll have to see. I mean, we've seen the blinking occur throughout the season in a few different races so far. And I think it bugs everybody. It bugs the broadcasters. It bugs our producer, Harold Darner. I know that. It bugs the admins. And it's definitely difficult as a driver, though, when you're trying to bump draft with a car that's not even there.
Well, it bothers my camera guys because the car's there and it's not there. It's there and it's not there.
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
And as the floor goes spinning
we
down.
got another wreck.
Right at the end of practice.
Right at the end of practice. There you go.
If you want to wreck, now's a good time. We'll get it over in practice. All right, so that'll do it for practice, and we'll go ahead and start our 10-minute qualifying session. Now, the same rules apply at all tracks, although it'll be mostly different. 2 laps. First lap, you're going to see drivers running the outside, trying to build up all the momentum that they can. Then the second lap, you'll see them transition to the bottom of the racetrack, the shortest approach all the way around. And
or you just cut grass.
Yeah.
I don't think that was an intentional there. He actually might want to be careful. He might get disqualified through the iRacing system there for spinning the tires like that. He probably did, if I had to guess. But there you see the 84 now, Forrest Smith coming out. Hunter, you got to give it to Forrest, man. He's probably been one of the most consistent drivers in this series since he came in week 2.
Yeah, Forrest Smith, 4 top 5, 7 top 10s. He's yet to get that first win. Tonight would be a good night for him to sort of shut all the doubters that, oh, you can't win, and, shut them up with a win here at Talladega.
Yeah, it's a good track. It's a good track that creates a lot of opportunity for these guys. And Forrest, obviously, been one of the guys up front. He's gotten himself up into the playoff mix, as you mentioned, with those stats. So impressive season for the 84. And for One Bind to Design, they have actually closed in on Samson Motorsports as well for the team championship, even though they started a race down. So pretty impressive season for those two. His teammate, of course, the 69 of Gary Lewis. But Hunter, you were talking about the strategy for qualifying. We're already seeing it on lap 1 for Forrest.
Yeah, but you don't want to clip that wall, because if you do, that erases all that time.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to rely on that second lap, which will be
that'll be
on
your
the bottom
lap either way, though. So your first lap, really, you're not gunning for much on your first lap, other than to try to build the speed up as much as possible on that race car, get the temps up maybe a little bit, get that thing cooking for lap 2 when you take it down to the bottom. So Forrest, he's actually doing a pretty good job, though, keeping that car way up high. You see him, a tire width above that white dotted line, pretty high up against the wall. We'll see when he decides to drop down. Some drivers do it in the middle of the tri-oval, some do it on the entrance, and it looks like he's going to do it right there in the middle. Transition now from the top down to the bottom, and he'll be on that yellow line here for lap number 2. See Cliff Mullins, actually, the 37 is going to take the top time so far, but a lot of these guys just now getting underway with their second lap, which should be quicker.
Yeah, good to see Cliff Mullins back. He also raced that Daytona. So I would imagine we would see some of these guys that raced that Daytona come back and race that Talladega, because, super speedway racing is fun. What other track can you go 3 wide, 4 wide, and 200 miles an hour?
No,
all the way around.
And not to mention, we got the prizes tonight, right? We got $10 to the race winner, and also $10 given to the leader of the halfway lap. So that'll be a chaotic factor that I'm sure we'll see right around lap 37, 38 tonight.
Let's say we have an odd number of laps here tonight. We have 75 laps slated, so it's going to be interesting to see what the halfway lap is considered, because we'll have 2 drivers leading different times in lap 37 and lap 38, wanting that 10 extra bucks.
How about this for the qualifying times? Cliff Mullins grabs the top spot by 1,000th of a second over Adam Capps in the 55. So pretty close qualifying already. Now you see Nicholas Halda, who's got to be the favorite, right? Tonight, Hunter, he's got to be the guy everybody's going to be keeping their eye out on.
He's the Daytona winner. He was the first ever winner in any of our 4 Araya series. And yeah, I would have to imagine he's one of the favorites. He won at Daytona, and surely if you can win at Daytona, you can win at Talladega.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Halda, he showed great speed all throughout that Daytona race. He was one of the guys that was up front much of the race, and we saw his drafting ability. Been a little bit of a slump lately. I don't think he's had a top 10 finish I saw today reading through the power rankings the last 2 or 3 weeks. So he's definitely looking to get an uptick in performance tonight. How about this? The 18 of Caleb Steimer to the pole by a lot.
Yeah, Caleb Steimer, he's one of those drivers that are on the outside looking in. He's one of the first 4 currently out at the moment, and a win would definitely help him get in the playoffs.
See, looking for the in-car here with Halda coming out of 4. That sun was definitely in his face there.
Yeah, the sun might be an issue tonight, too, with the in-sim time about 1:45 right now. So we might almost get to that sunset range by the end of this race, which could lead to, like you said, the sun glaring into these drivers' eyes coming out of turn 4. Sean Corcoran's going to jump to the 2nd spot. Paul Irvin's going to jump up to P3. We'll see what the 87 here has on lap number 2.
Leo jumped up to 2nd.
Yep, the Leo and JJ Wang.
View that you'd want to see, that any driver really wants to see from the field. Just a clear racetrack in front of you. Although the mirror is going to be a different picture.
And Halda does not really pick up too much on that 2nd lap like he had hoped. He's going to go to 14th in that number 87 car with a 53.601. Really close qualifying times throughout much of the field. But right now, the front row is occupied by Caleb Steimer and Dominic DeLeo.
We still got a little over 4 minutes left in our qualifying session. So you see that's JJ Wang coming on the pit road. Interesting.
Well, he's already completed his
last. Yeah,
it's up to P3.
That's why he's coming on the pit road.
I think we'll see the same here from Halda. He's still got some big hitters yet to qualify, and we'll see if they decide to. We saw the issues with James Shainwolf, Bobby Tinch, Brian Dixon, Dustin Carroll, Travis Beckner, Eric Shugart, and Kevin Hayes yet to make their qualifying time. So we'll have to see what they decide to roll out onto the racetrack if they do. A lot of strategy goes into the qualifying game here tonight for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And our good old buddy Ken Cushwayer in the chat picking Nicholas Halda to win.
And confirmation, James Shainwolf shown the disqualified for qualifying flag.
Yeah, that lines up to what I was thinking as well with that spin in qualifying. They're going to think you're trying to do some fishy business, so they'll go ahead and give you the black flag real quick.
So Shugart, Tinch, Carroll, the 3 drivers still needing to put some times in, or from what I see in, because we also have the ability to not, and then the new system, Jake, remember they now can do the ready to race thing. So I'm showing the only ones that don't have the checkered flag are Shugart, Tinch, and Carroll.
Yep. So those drivers still have an opportunity to qualify. Go ahead, Hunter.
I also see Jordan Hurley in there. I'm not sure if he's in there just helping out a teammate or anything along those lines, but he's serving a race suspension.
Yeah, he's not racing tonight, but he did hop in the server, but he is suspended, so he won't be racing tonight. Here in report from our Twitch chat, I believe that's the Trader Boys and some help. It sounds like James Shainwolf pedals actually messed up on him in qualifying, so that's what happened there to lead him down into the grass.
I know he was still cutting grass. That was one thing, definitely. He was definitely cutting the grass. So we got about 2 minutes left here. We can probably start talking about our picks for the week.
Yeah, our picks for the week, and last car qualifying looks like it's going to be Dustin Carroll, but Hunter, I know you haven't been in on the picks lately, but man, it's 2022. We got a different strategy coming into the picks, or are we still trying to hold out on them?
You know, a new year, new me. I'm gonna throw picks left and right here.
There we go.
I'm looking through because we have more time than usual to make our picks. I'm gonna make a pick. I'm not sure which driver it's going to be yet.
Okay, I got my driver picked, and it might be a little biased, and that's okay. He might be my teammate in trucks, and that's okay too. I'm gonna say Ryan Swan in the number 9 gets it done. I'm pretty confident in his super speedway racing ability. He's won a few Daytona races I've been a part of, and I think the number 9 gets it done and gets victory here tonight at Talladega.
And I think I'm going to go with Dominic DeLeo, number 21, fan favorite, and guy that came in and helped us with one of the broadcasts for the Tuesday night. So throw it out to Dom DeLeo. And I think you said it earlier, the best way that this is kind of the leveling of the field where everybody has an opportunity to win here based on pack racing, putting yourself where the helmet loosely and smartly is basically how you have to do it.
So we've got...
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna say we've got less than a minute. I'm just looking at who's on the top 5. I mean, a name that we typically see up there, Dominic DeLeo, always good in qualifying, but Caleb Steimer's on the pole. JJ Wang's third. Sean Corcoran, although a solid driver, doesn't have good qualifying. He's in 4th. Paul Irving 5th. Cliff Mullins 6th. Adam Capps, Mark Patterson, and then we get to Matthew Robinson in 9th, who we typically see up front every week. We got guys who really are just borderline top 5, then middle of the pack. They're in the top 6, top 7. And one of those drivers that's going to be my pick is Cliff Mullins. I don't know why. I'm just feeling Cliff Mullins tonight.
There we
He
go.
raced at Daytona. He's always been a solid plate racer. That's going to be my pick. Cliff Mullins in the 37.
I'm interested to see if Dustin Carroll can get this lap in time. The ticker's ticking down. He's going to be a few seconds short if it counts. I don't know if it counted or not. I don't think it did for the number 92 of Dustin Carroll. So that's going to wrap up our qualifying efforts. We're going to get ready to grid here for the Talladega race, the Chop Shop 200. I want to give a big shout out to those guys for putting up a little prize money here tonight, $10 to the winner. And a big pole position for the 18 of Caleb Steimer. He's outside the playoffs. He's going to start tonight on the pole and with a bonus point already. Put it in the bank for the number 18 car. Outside of him, it's going to be Dominic DeLeo in the 21.
In row number 2, you'll find JJ Wang in the 00, and alongside him in position number 4, Sean Corcoran in the 22.
How about teammates, by the way? Starting 1st and 3rd, Steimer and JJ Wang, they're going to be bumper to bumper from the get-go of this thing. Starting 5th is going to be Paul Irving in the number 4, and outside of him, Hunter Sleppy's pick tonight, Cliff Mullins.
Row number 4, we'll find Adam Capps in the 7th spot, and then alongside him will be Mark Patterson in the 8th spot.
Rounding out our top 10 starters, Matthew Robinson on the inside in the number 40, and Jeremy Horn on his outside.
Row 6, we'll find the 9 of Ryan Swan. That's Jake's pick. And then alongside him, Justin Anasogok in the 12th spot.
Rick Ward and the Daytona winner, Nick Halda, is going to roll off in row 7. We'll have to keep an eye on that number 87 car tonight.
Yep, and then row number 8, we'll find the 69 of Gary Lewis, and alongside him, 57 of Jordan Berry.
Forrest Smith is going to roll off row 9, and Jordan Hurley not going to be starting tonight's race. He is suspended, so the rounding out the top 20 starters is going to be James Shane Wolf and then Bobby Tinch.
And then in row number 11, you'll find Brian Dixon in the 33 and Dustin Carroll in the 92.
And then rounding out our field tonight, Travis Beckner in the number 45, Eric Shugart in the number 2, and Kevin Hayes in the number 3. Some very talented speedway racers there at the back of the pack as well. So we'll have to keep an eye from the start all the way to the end of tonight's race to see where the winner is going to come from. I think it could come from just about any row of the field tonight.
Yeah, I think it honestly could be Kevin Hayes in that 25th spot.
I agree with you. He's been an impressive super speedway racer as well. So not a bad pick there whatsoever.
Nonetheless, I'm sticking with my pick of Cliff Mullins. There's no turning back.
Looks like Ryan Swan was having, I guess he's having some connection issues because he's showing on my screen that he's there and then he's not.
Yeah, it looks like he might be working through some connection issues there. Looks like he's good to go now. I'm seeing him get back up to speed here. I think something happened there on the start. Here's some driver communication over the radio about that as well. But he's rolling back up there. He's going to try to get in line here right behind the 40, it looks like, of Robinson. Got one driver starting on pit road. Not really too surprised about that either. It's Samson Motorsports driver of Sean Corcoran, the number 22.
Yep.
You know,
Sean Corcoran, he qualified in the 4th spot.
Yep,
Interesting look there.
Big strategy call there. So
got some people in the chat pulling for different drivers also. Henry, I can't pronounce that. Hendry Dirt, I believe that is how you pronounce it. I think Ryan Swan will win it, but I'll be pulling for my little buddy Travis Beckner also. So 2 names to keep an eye on. Another one going with Ryan Swan. Hopefully everything's all right with him and his connection. And then Travis Beckner, we'll be keeping an eye on Travis Beckner also. He's one of the drivers that's going to have to come from deep in the field to win tonight. We got a car there on the apron. It looks, I'm not sure who that was.
Shane
Shane
Wolf,
Wolf.
31.
That was probably a disqualification.
He's got some pedal issues. Looks like still persistent on him. So he's gonna get rolling there at the back of the pack. Though we'll have to see how it plays out. Pace car is heading down pit road. Pace truck, I should say, Hunter, and we're getting ready to go.
Getting ready to go, guys. 75 laps of racing here for us at Talladega, race number 10. It's crunch time. Only 3 more races until the playoffs. Who's going to make it? Could it be Caleb Steimer or Dominic DeLeo? Leading the field to the green here at Talladega. The Chop Shop 200 is underway.
And now it's about to get real for all these guys that qualified up front. It's Caleb Steimer showing the way. Right behind him, his teammate JJ Wang's going to get a good start. They're going to be 1-2 on the bottom. DeLeo stuck up high with some help coming from behind him. It looks like he's going to have some drafting help down the back straightaway, but really spread out here on the start.
Yeah, not really sure if you'd want to push it in these cars just yet, although I don't believe you can bump draft anyway. Although, the run on the outside for Dominic DeLeo is giving him the edge, and he's got the lead as they go into 3.
Yeah, I agree. I think bumping in these cars is going to be a little treacherous. I wouldn't try it yet, but Cliff Mullins is going to get up there and push that number 21 car to the lead. Strong effort down the back straightaway. Dominic DeLeo, the leader at Talladega.
It's a little 3-car train there with Dominic DeLeo, Cliff Mullins, and Paul Irving. Now, Mullins going to look low. Got some smoke there, and now the 18 of Steimer is looking low. We got 3 wide here going into turn 1.
Almost 4 wide there. Looked like Paul Irvin was peaking up high for a second. Backs out of it. They're going to settle out on the bottom. Steimer now back to the lead with help from JJ Wang, his teammate behind him. DeLeo left up high and left to dry. Cliff Mullins and Paul Irving going to jump down to the bottom. And here comes that 37 right back at him with a run.
Yep, we'll see that throughout the night. Drivers with runs taking their shots, whether it's on the inside or the outside. We see Mullins going on the outside. His help is a little further back in Dominic DeLeo. So that's going to allow the top 2 on the bottom to scoot away just a bit.
Yeah, little. Go ahead.
Teammates came together there. You see the 21 with the 51 of his buddy right behind him now. So teammates are starting to find one another.
And those are the Fazekas Motorsports drivers of Dominic DeLeo and Mark Patterson. Good call out there with Eat Sleep Race Machines getting hooked up on the top. But Cliff Mullins still leading the train up high. Kind of even so far. Seems about even numbers on the top and the bottom right now, Hunter.
Yep, nice even side-by-side racing. So they're dead even there, although Mullins going to have a little bit of an edge with Dominic DeLeo giving him just a shove. See, the bottom is more grouped than the top. Top is more spread out, but the runs coming off the corners keeps the top in it.
Jake, I don't know about you, but when I'm racing on the iRacing service, I like that mid to high groove all the time. That low line just seems to be pinned against the bottom apron all the time, and you got to back out a little bit too often unless that top side gets to roll off almost every time on the corner, as long as you have 3 or 4 cars tight packed together.
I agree with you 100% on that. I'm the same way. I like to be on that second lane. I don't like to be pinched down on the bottom because if something breaks loose, you don't really have a lot of opportunity to miss it. But really, that's about anywhere you pick. You're at Talladega. You don't have a lot of chance to miss the big one. But I do like that second lane for what you mentioned and what we're seeing on our screen right now. That run down the back straightaway just prevails that 37 car back to the lead. I think it's going to be the spot to be late in the race. 37 is actually going to clear the 18 of Caleb Steimer, but he's going to elect to stay high.
Yeah, he's going to stay on that outside, the 18 car of Steimer there with another run on the bottom. But it's this run on corner exit here that's going to keep the top in it for the night.
And I can guarantee you that a lot of people have their eyes on this race tonight. We got a whole week of racing at Talladega scheduled for us. So you're going to have Cup drivers, Lodgebox Series drivers. You're going to have the Truck Series guys. Everybody's going to be taking a look and seeing how this race plays out. Strategy-wise, how these drivers race with each other, who's the good guys to draft with. They're going to be paying attention tonight, I can assure you that.
That car you just saw, that was Sean Corcoran, I believe. No, he's not even on the track. Oh, wait.
Yeah,
no, he is.
It was Sean. It's the 22 there.
Oh, my scoring is frozen.
He's already 1 lap down. He might actually lose a second, it looks like, as the pack is closing in on him in a hurry. So Steimer, though, the 18, continuing to show the way around Talladega. Occasional challenge from the outside of Cliff Mullins, but for the moment, it's the 18 and the 37 up front.
I want to say, further in the back, you see it towards the rear. We got some separate pack action going on. That's the second pack that wants to stay out of trouble early on.
Yeah, the second pack is where you're going to see a good group of drivers that are pretty experienced at this thing. For one, I see Matthew Robinson back there. I see Forrest Smith back there, Brian Dixon in the 33. Those guys are definitely trying to play the long game. They're not trying to get up there and lead this race right now. They know that it's going to pay. Well, I guess it's going to pay on lap 38 tonight too, but it really is going to pay on lap 75 when the points are awarded.
Yeah, one of those drivers you see in the back also, Nicholas Halda, won at Daytona. And now we go back up front. They're passing the lap car of Sean Corcoran, who stays on the outside. So there's going to be some 3-wide scenarios there. But bottom's starting to pull away just a bit. Got a 2-car breakaway looking to make it 3.
Yeah, and I'm noticing a trend of teammates like Harold touched on before the race. You got Infinite Gaming 1-2 on the bottom. Right behind them, you got the Audible Machines of the 4 of Paul Irvin and the 81 of Jeremy Horn. And also the 55 of Adam Capps. So Audible Racing's getting lined up there on the bottom, right behind the 2 Infinite Gaming race cars.
And Shane Wolf right there with them.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. So they got themselves all in a line and hooked up. Right now, the only team we see on the top is that Fazekas Motorsports combo of Dominic DeLeo and Mark Patterson. And right behind them, Ryan Swan in the number 9. He's gotten his way up inside the top 10.
And we're talking 25 to 28 laps. They're going to have to come down for gas. You know, Caleb Steimer, he's led all these laps, as well as Mullins, is eating into their fuel tank. Could be almost a whole lap different than the people pushing behind them. So, Jake, if as a driver, are you keeping that in your mind?
I think so. When we ran the Cup race in October, which feels like forever ago at this point, for the Area 500, when I got up front with my teammates, we kind of took turns between all 3 of us leading, and that's kind of seems to be a trend, especially once you get up to the Cup Series, of guys kind of swapping that lead amongst each other, keeping themselves out front, but making sure everybody kind of stays on equal fuel as well. But tonight, I think these guys should have it pretty easy. It should just be a 2-stop race, pit around lap 25, pit around lap 50, and hope you don't get a green-white checkered at the end.
Race Control is saying that something happened with the Shane Wolf on the grid, which put him down a lap. So we'll be giving him a wave around at the first yellow to take care of that grid problem.
Okay, that makes sense, because I was also wondering how Shane Wolf was a lap down, but he was still in this lead pack. So essentially right now he is on the lead lap. He's just not technically on our pylon scored correctly because of an iRacing bug, it seems like. So was trying to figure that out, but looks like our admin Brad Slaughter's got it all taken care of, and looks like we're going to be good to go.
As Harold mentioned, the 2 drivers that are leading the middle, well, the bottom and the top group, really, Caleb Steimer and Cliff Mullins, they're going to be about possibly a lap behind on fuel. What if you're Cliff Mullins on the outside and you need to get down pit road and you got nowhere to go?
Well, that's kind of the easy telltale sign of when these guys will be pitting. You'll see this 2 rows of racing will turn into 1 row of racing real quick. Everybody will either check up and get in line, or they'll try to push themselves out in front and clear the race leader and get in line. But either way, these guys are going to have to be on the bottom. Trying to pit from the second lane will never work at most tracks, but Talladega is a big no-no.
Yep. Unless you're communicating with the guy who's saying, in the inside, that he's going to say on the inside in pinch entry, and you're going to go on the outside. But as Jake's saying, I don't know if I would trust that.
Yeah, no, that's not really a plan for success there. But I will say a plan for success has been this 18 and this 00 on the bottom. They've been pretty much 1-2 this entire race. They qualified first and third, and they've been linked together since the drop of the green flag. Once we do get into that pit strategy window and these guys have to come down and make those green flag pit stops, it might separate those guys. Then it'll be a task to see who's the best at re-linking up with their partners. But right now, Cliff Mullins still trying to take the lead away on the top side of the racetrack. Dominic DeLeo, his help. We're pretty calm so far. 2 rows of racing. Haven't seen a lot of 3-wide yet.
Seen some in the back and when the lap traffic was working their way through. But yeah, it's mostly been double file racing. Nothing too chaotic. We almost saw 4 wide on lap number 2, but other than that, it's just been side by side.
Drivers doing a good job of just letting the race progress. And they know they're going to have to do at least two fuel stops for this thing.
Yep. And there you see Paul Irvin, the 3rd car in line on the bottom. He's actually one of the newer drivers to the series as well. Made his debut at Pocono, and we thought for a moment there Paul Irvin was actually going to go to victory lane, but didn't quite work out for him. You see a good push again from the outside lane Cliff Mullins. But we've already seen it, Hunter. That 37, he's gotten out in front of the 18 and cleared him, but hasn't wanted to drop down. He's wanted to stay in that second lane.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a close bump there between Dominic DeLeo and Cliff Mullins. Can't really push in these cars, so anytime you do make contact, you want to be really careful with it, because one wrong move, and then that could be half the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a big field. It's still a bit bunched up together. We don't really see a lot of stragglers out there. The one of James Shameless, a lap down, not really, but on our scoring pylon he is, and he's still in that lead pack. We saw Sean Corcoran get his second lap lost, but he's also in this lead pack. So everybody's still bunched together around this racetrack.
Sean Corcoran is actually in turn 4 right now.
Oh, okay. He did lose the draft. Okay, so he's one of the only ones, though, on this racetrack that is not in this lead pack.
He's the only one.
How about the number 40, though, Matthew Robinson? He's kind of playing the danger game there. He is the last car in line in this entire pack, and he's almost in danger of actually losing the draft, as he's gotten a few car lengths between him and the 33. But new paint scheme there for the 40 of Robinson. He's obviously been one of the dominant guys all season long, and right now he's got a strategy plan, Hunter, that it looks like he's trying to execute.
Yeah, that's just no surprise there, in my opinion. I kind of figured that Matthew Robinson would be at the tail end of this, and along with some of the other drivers that we typically see running in the front.
And you see his teammate, Nicholas Halda, just a few spots in front of him, and we all know what Halda did at Daytona, so maybe that's the game plan for those two drivers, to try to stay linked up and stay together till the end. And make it to the end, more importantly.
Yep, back up front, though, it's still Caleb Steimer leading that bottom with teammate JJ Wang behind him, and then on the outside, still Cliff Mullins leading the way with Dominic DeLeo pushing him.
Yeah, 14 laps in now. I'm wondering if we're getting to the point where a lot of these drivers want to consider swapping positions in terms of, their partner that they're pushing. So essentially, if JJ Wang wants to try to get around the 18, and if the 21 wants to try to get around the 37, get that clean air out up front, maybe the 37 needs to save a little bit more fuel than what he's burning right now, but it looks like nobody's really reached an agreement yet. We've stayed pretty much the exact same since lap 2 so far. 2 rows of racing. Everybody got shuffled into the line they wanted to be in, and we've been setting sail since then. Another close moment there for the 18 of Caleb Steimer. I thought for a moment he was going to be heading up the racetrack.
A lot of dancing going on in that bottom line.
Yeah, you typically see some of the drivers, and this is in real life ARCA too. You'll see them kind of like moving closer towards that WO line, or even going below it at some points during the race. Not really sure why, but it happens from time to time, and we see it occasionally here tonight, and we do see it on the outside too. Some drivers will try to get their nose in the middle groove just to get some clean air and drop some of those temperatures down.
Yeah, the problem I was going to say is I see the 00, the yellow line in iRacing, you might as well see that as a big bumper, because it's going to shoot you straight up the racetrack, especially in the tri-oval. It is a dangerous thing to touch.
It's got to be some problems persisting for the 22 Sean Corcoran. We saw him again coming off a pit road. He's now 4 laps down. Didn't start the race with the field, so something's still going on with that 22 Sean Corcoran for Samson Motorsports. And it's a tough break, because Samson's one of those teams competing for the team championship. They have the lead just narrowly over One Mind to Design Motorsports coming into tonight. So that 22's effort's definitely going to hurt their team points, but also Sean trying to make his way into the playoffs again. And right now, this is not a great start to his race.
So he's one of those drivers that's trying to get a win and stay in. Can't be having stuff like this happening with 3 races left to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
See Paul Irving looking on the inside of JJ Wang. Watch him, because I see the JJ Wang and the 18. They come off of turn 3 and 4 and almost leave an entire car length open, and almost see that 4 looking like he's gonna take that real estate if they keep giving it to him.
It's a dangerous game to play this early, though.
I'm gonna say you do not want to be in that middle, because that's essentially the sucker hole, and you will fall like a rock.
Well, it depends. If you got help with you, like the 37 does, it's a great spot to be. But you mentioned it. We saw it with Dominic DeLeo in that first run. He kind of got left out to dry, and when they leave you like that, you fall back in a hurry. So thankfully for Dom, his teammate Mark Patterson able to pick him back up and get right back to the front. But a lot of moving and shaking and some snaking even going down these straightaways. And I think Harold nailed it on the head there. It looks like the 4 of Paul Irving kind of peeking below that 00 every time he moves up the racetrack, and wondering if that's something in Paul's head to try to use that real estate and maybe make a pass.
Very well could be, and it could happen one of these times where he will stick that nose down, make a move, and it could create an accident. We have seen that happen here before. Drivers just getting too greedy, trying to go for all that real estate.
Yeah, but the 00 is definitely riding really high for the inside line.
Yeah, he's leaving about half a car length at least whenever he is pushing, and then whenever he come off the corner, leaves a car length open. See him just shut the door right there on Irving in the 4.
Yeah, usually the inside line is going to paint that yellow line all the way around the racetrack. And, the guys on the outside have a little bit more free space to go. But, that number 4, I would see that it continues. He's going to go for it. I agree with you, Jake, a little early, but,
Yeah, I think they're definitely being cautious right now, because one of the good things I like to use is that white dotted line you see right above the outside of Caleb Steimer's machine. That white dotted line all the way around the racetrack, a lot of times you'll see the outside lane, that second lane, will have their left side tires on that, and they'll really try to use it to side draft the leaders or whoever's on the bottom. Right now, we don't see a lot of these drivers using that with their left side tires. So that kind of shows to me that these guys are just trying to be cautious, give each other some room, and make it to the end of this thing. But kind of towards this back of the pack, the 40 of Matthew Robinson and the 87 of Nick Halda, they were towards the tail end of the field. Now they're kind of pushing their way through the middle of the field, trying to gain some track position, it looks like, because the 40 and the 87 now have jumped all the way up inside the top 15.
You're talking about that 37 of Mullins is running that, what we would traditionally call the midline through the corners, but now JJ Wang, as he's been sliding up higher and higher almost every time they almost made contact.
Yeah,
I think one of these times he's just gonna slide up and stay in the middle. They're nearly making contact with Cliff Mullins there, but he's leaving room on the bottom for Paul Irving to go and make a move.
Well, you see Cliff's doing exactly what I was mentioning there. He's got his left side tires on that dotted line. He's trying to pinch him down so that he stops coming up like that. He wants to try to get a better run on the top. So definitely starting to heat up a little bit. And also that 40 and that 87, man, I'm telling you, they're making some moves in the back of this pack. They're trying to make their way up to the front, I believe.
And I tell you, with Mullins and Steimer being up front this entire time, they're going to definitely be looking for going down the pit lane early. I would say as early as 23, maybe 24th lap, which would put them out of cycle, because they got to get this 25 laps to make this in 2 pit stops.
And I think with the 40 and the 87, actually, now to your point, that's probably exactly why they're trying to get their way to the front. They know the pit stops are coming up, and if you're towards the tail end of this pack, when you come down pit road, you have a better chance of losing the draft. So you don't want that to happen. You want to be towards the front of the pack so that you can pit with a bunch of help.
Yeah, especially pitting without a teammate. That's one of the bigger no-nos here that you can make, because then you'll come out on your own, and then you come out with a group of 3 or 4, and then they're all teammates, and you don't have a teammate. They're just going to fly right by you and leave you in the dust. So we still see we're approaching that portion of the race where we could see some green flag pit stops if we don't get a caution in these next couple of laps.
Well, what a race for Caleb Steiner, though. I mean, he's pretty much led every single lap, and he got the pole, so big bonus points being awarded to that number 18 after tonight. He needs every bit of them.
Absolutely, and he gets another bonus point for leading the most laps, and we're closing in on that mark every lap.
That's 17 led already. That's a pretty good number. Look at the 87 and the 40, though. They're going to try to make the third lane work. Robinson's the one who's trying to lead the way. Well, now he's going to actually tuck back a line in the middle lane. So I thought for a second we were going to see some 3-wide action.
They might just stick their nose in the middle and say,
he's going. He's looking at it again. The 40 of Matthew Robinson's looking to use that third lane, and he's taking some help with him. And I think he's going to try to use this draft down the back straightaway and either coming off these corners.
Oh.
I don't know. It's getting intense, Hunter.
It's getting squirrely up there with JJ Wang and Caleb Steimer. That looked like a near catastrophe was about to happen.
Well, these cars are getting awful light. The fuel tanks are low.
And it looks like everybody's just getting a little bit more aggressive with their pushing as well. The little pushing you can do, they're trying to push the envelope on it. And every time we go through the trial bowl, I see the 40 there tuck out of line and try to use that third lane. He's done it again. This time, though, he's going to get all the way up to the 51 of Mark Patterson, and he's going to stay on the outside of him. Here comes the 40 of Matthew Robinson up high.
Yep, you see those two working together. They've worked their way from the back to the front. Now Dominic DeLeo has to react. He's going to block. No. Oh, Halda's in the wall. Halda scraped the wall there going through turn 2. And now Matthew Robinson looking on the outside, making it 3 wide up here.
Ryan Swan's going to jump in with him as Halda, like you mentioned, he scraped the wall there, lost a little bit of speed in that race car. So now it's the 9 of Ryan Swan, and he's going to tap the wall. He's going to be able
to he's going to save it. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't like the looks of this.
Yeah, these guys, they got such a big run, they don't realize that
Matthew
they're heading down
Robinson
to the corner and sliding right up and
split the Sika's 51 and it's 21. Now we got 3 wide going to the front.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you just sent Dominic DeLeo up on the outside, and he's got Cliff Mullins working in the middle. Caleb Steimer holding onto that bottom. Here comes Mullins on the outside.
Did somebody say there's going to be, was there money at lap 30?
Yeah, 38, I think. But, man, you would think it's lap 25 the way this whole last few laps just broke out. Now, though, we are at lap 25. So you got to wonder when the pit stops are going to start cycling in. I would assume in the next 1 or 2 laps or so. But Robinson's going to push the 37 of Cliff Mullins all the way out front.
Whoa!
Mullins is going to drop down in front of
What a move! What a move by Cliff Mullins. Just shutting the door on Caleb Steimer.
And that was all because of that big push from Matthew Robinson, who made an aggressive charge as they're coming on the pit road now. You got the
drivers coming on the pit road. Yeah, good chunk of the drivers on the bottom pitted.
Looks like the 88 of Justin Anasogok. I see the 31 of James Shanewolf, the 55 of Adam Capps. So it looks like all the Audible Racing machines, as well as the One Mind to Design teams of Forrest Smith and Gary Lewis. Almost a little bit of contact there between Gary Lewis and Adam Capps. So these guys are on pit road.
Oh, there was contact.
55 and 81.
He just came down.
Well, he was going into his pit box, which was behind the 55, and contact.
And
that's backwards in his pit stop.
A catastrophe for the 81. He's going to lose a ton of time up front. It's now Cliff Mullins leading Caleb Steiner, and you got to assume that these 2 drivers need to come down pit road the most.
Yep, absolutely.
And they're gonna not do it this time. Looks like
another lap. Looked like the 18 was going to pull outside and try and get back in front of Mullins.
Yeah, they said, I don't know how much fuel these guys got left. My calculation said 27 was a good number, and 28 was pushing it, and these guys were the ones that have been leading most of the laps.
Boy, I don't like the 37 of Mullins leaving that much room on the bottom, because there you see Caleb Steimer now going to try and make a move. Yep. With the help of J.J. Wang right there. Matthew Robinson is going to split him. And there you see Mullins down in the middle, and he's got no help.
Hey, he's in that sucker hole you were talking about.
2 in the wall.
Now, it's going to be
Shugart's in the wall.
It's going to be
Eric Shugart.
When these guys decide to come down pit road now, because they're going to be stuck all the way in that 3rd lane.
Yeah, Shugart's stuck in the wall back there. No one's coming down pit road this time also, and it's lap 27, which according to your calculation, Terrell, was a good number. Maybe these guys can go another lap or 2, they think.
They're going to be pushing
Gotta be wondering, though, about Caleb Steimer and Cliff Mullins.
Yeah.
If you look just in front of this field that we're watching also, you got a whole pack of drivers, including those guys that just came down pit road. They're trying to line up and make some speed so that hopefully they'll cycle out to the lead once this group comes down pit road. But look at the run from the 37 of Cliff Mullins. Get another big push from Matthew Robinson.
Cliff Mullins was down in the sucker hole. Now he's back up front.
That's the magic. That's the magic of bump drafts. And somehow the 40 has figured it out. We got some drivers coming in. We're going to see the 9 pitting here. The 21 is also in, as well as the 51 of Mark Patterson. So just a few drivers coming in this time.
Yeah, I still can't see how the 18. I can see how Mullins and Steimer are still out there. I mean, my numbers must have been way off.
Well, no, I'm with you, though. This has got to be the last lap. I think we saw 28 at Daytona was the max, so this has got to be it. I don't think they can go much more.
No, gotta assume they'd come down this time by.
It was a Robertson dropping down with Halda, so it looks like they're preparing to get their stops in. They're leaving that high line is being left vacant with only 3 cars up there.
Yep, I know that the 18, the 66, all those drivers on the bottom, they have called out that they're pitting. It's going to be interesting to see if the 37 and those guys up top try to come down as well. That'll not be a good idea, I don't think. But here we go. We know the 18's coming in, and it looks like those 3 are actually going to stay out. So we got Caleb Steimer hitting pit road along with his teammate JJ Wang in the 00. And Caleb's actually going to hit the grass and almost miss pit lane. Did a heck of a job saving it.
Let's say it looked like he was speeding coming on the pit road. Had to get that car woed down.
Well, if he's speeding, he's going to be stuck with a penalty. So we'll have to see what happens there at the 18. It was close. If it wasn't a penalty for speeding, it certainly has to be a penalty for hitting that cone. He got oh so close to it.
45 getting around to take over the lead. That's Travis Beckner with a 37 now trying to get down to the line there. 30 laps, way more than I thought for calculation for fuel.
Penalty to the 18 of Caleb Steimer. They're holding him in his pit box.
Entering too fast on pit lane.
Yeah,
I
he
believe
looked
actually
like
it's an unsafe pit entrance. He hit the cone coming in. He got down, but he just hit
I
the
mean,
cone.
it wouldn't surprise me either way because he was coming in way too hot.
Rick Ward stays out for 31 laps, and he's the new race leader.
Yeah, that's going to be a lonely call, though. Being out there by yourself, he's just going to be giving up so much time to those drivers that have been out there in a pack and drafting this entire time.
Rick Ward is out for his Sunday strive or Sunday stroll. No, I was
actually going to cycle over to the lead's actually going to cycle over to the 84 of Fort Smith. They actually just got around the 66 and a bunch of other drivers that were making their way back onto the racetrack, but a good push by his teammate Gary Lewis is going to cycle the 84 back out to the lead once the 34 hits pit road here.
Well, the second, third, and fourth have come off pit road, and Rick Ward's going to stay out another lap, actually.
Yep. It's actually Forrest Smith, though, with like I said, a good shove from the 69 and the 4 Paul Irvin, the 3 drivers that are now going to be cycling over to the lead. And
here they come.
Car, it's going to be the 37 of Cliff Mullins. He's going to have to find his way in the pack as well.
There's no Kevin LePage here.
Hopefully not.
No, he cannot come off and onto the racetrack as soon as you exit pit road. Doesn't matter how bright of a color your car is. You gotta stay on the apron, and then once you pass that blue cone coming out of turn 2, then you can safely re-emerge onto the racetrack.
This second pack behind this lead pack here might be in danger of losing them, though. They're getting a little spread out here, and this front pack is pretty neatly put together. How about the run from Jordan Berry up top?
Yep, Jordan Berry and Adam Capps. Capps had contact on pit road with 81 of Jeremy Horn.
And he's going to make the move under Berry now for the top spot. So the 55 with a pass on the 57, he'll take over the eventual race lead. And we got to remember, the completion of lap 38 is our halfway lap tonight. The completion of lap 38. So whoever is the leader at that point is going to be taking home an extra $10. Oh, something.
Whoa! Oh, we got contact. There they go in the back. Dominic DeLeo sideways in the middle of turn 3. Caution's going to come out. Boy, it looked like they were approaching a slower car, and Dominic DeLeo went on the outside and just lost control of it, and around they went. Multiple cars involved. Dominic DeLeo definitely being one of them. Let's go ahead and take a look at our one-to-go replay just to give you a look at what went wrong there.
The run up here to what was going on. He's right behind Shane Wolf here.
It was the 31 of Shane Wolf here. You're going to see it on the replay. Something went wrong with that race car. You got to know it's the pedals that he was talking about earlier. But you'll see coming down the back straightaway here, that car almost virtually just shuts off on him. And the 21 closes in such a hurry, it's just impossible for him to slow down and miss it. We'll get a good look at it here on this replay. You see the 31 just up in front of Dominic DeLeo there. It's like it shuts off on him going into 3. DeLeo tries to go high to miss it. He can't. Gets collected from the 51. The 9 as well is involved.
JJ Wang also. Yeah. JJ Wang got his left
confirmation from Twitch, from our Twitch feed says that his gas pedal stopped working.
Yeah, he's been having those pedal issues all night. We saw in qualifying. First car we looked at, he was spinning in the grass. Then got disqualified for that. But unfortunate way to bring out our first caution here. And that replay was brought to you by Northern Capital. I'd like to give a big thanks to Russ and Steve Anderson of Northern Capital for their support of the Northern Capital Truck Series, which you can watch tomorrow night at Talladega, 8:30 Eastern. on the Errata Twitch channel.
Looks like the caution benefits Mr. Ward.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, because what caution while he was in pit lane scored as the race leader on the scoring loops.
I was right before that was going to happen. I was going to touch on Rick Ward and him being on pit road, possibly suggesting that maybe he can come out before the leaders go around and he wouldn't lose the draft in that pack, but he's staying in front of it with this caution coming out. So big break there for Rick Ward in the 34.
And there's a whole slew of drivers on pit road right now trying to get some damage repair. See Dominic DeLeo, see the 00 of JJ Wang also in their pit box. I believe the 9 of Ryan Swan. He's leaving pit road now. Hunter, I wanted to touch on that caution we just saw with these drivers. I don't see a ton of damage on a lot of these guys. Obviously, they got, you know, some damage on these race cars, but I don't know if it'll affect their finishing results tonight. They might still be able to be competitive.
Oh yeah, definitely. The minimal as it can be.
At
Just slight
Talladega.
damage. It might be cosmetic, little bit aero dependent, but as long as you're still in the pack with little damage, you'll be good. Not really sure what the look is for Dominic DeLeo in the 21.
And James Shanewolf is actually going to be out of the race, so he is the only one who's done. Everybody else in that wreck is going to continue on. The 21, Dominic DeLeo and the 00 are still on pit road, so they might have a little bit more optional repair. As I say that, the 21's actually leaving now, so doesn't look like they'll be too worse for wear. Obviously, it might affect some of the speed of that race car, but once they're in that draft, it'll kind of equalize everything out. And how about Rick Ward? You guys mentioned it. The strategy caution came out at just the right time for him, so he will be the leader. And on top of all of this, I believe we're going to have a restart where the guy who leads the first lap after the restart might be taking home $10.
Very well could be.
Checkered.
Yeah, for you say $10 or $20?
10.
It's 10 for the halfway leader and 10 for the race winner tonight in this.
Oh yeah. It could be. I don't know why I thought you said 20 for halfway. I was like, whoa, where do we get this increase?
Not from me, so I don't know, but no, it's 10 and 10. That's what I was told. I'm following the instructions I was given earlier. So unless something changes, I'll let you know on that. But as our pace car lights off, I believe they're off now, so it'll actually be 3 lap shootout to the halfway point. So this should be fun.
Yep, and Rick Ward's going to take the bottom. Don't know if Ryan Swan's done. No, he's not. I saw him in the chat. So he's still on the track. Still on the lead lap, by the way. So damage not too bad for that number 9. See Brian Dixon there. JJ Wang is still on the track. His car got up in the air a little bit. The left side tires off the ground. Not a good sight for anyone. Whether you're the car with the tires off the ground or anyone else heading for that car.
You know who this really saved, Hunter? Was the 18 of Caleb Steimer. He had that huge pit road penalty. That
Absolutely,
he was stuck serving that penalty for a good 30 seconds, was way off of the lead draft. He definitely would have lost a lap at least. And because of that caution, he is right back on the lead lap, and he's going to restart 9th.
It's another big thing. Yeah, and that puts him right back in it. You have to pair up with JJ Wang, who's also in the back. So both these guys looking at a charge to get back up to the front. See, we're going to complete lap number, I believe that's 35. My scoring keeps freezing, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, we're on 35, so we'll be coming to 36. Completion of lap 38 will be the halfway winner. So it'll be about 3 laps or so of racing for these guys. But up front, Rick Ward and Adam Capps is our front row. Then you're going to have Justin Anasogok, Gary Lewis, Paul Irvin, Bobby Tinch, our front 3 rows here on the restart. How about big shout out to Doug Onyx for following the Twitch channel on this restart here. So appreciate that. And Rick Ward's going to lead us down. Pace truck is in. Green flag is out. And we're back underway here in the Chop Shop 200.
Yeah, don't know if it was pointed out, but this track, unlike Daytona, the start-finish line not in the middle of the tri-oval. It's when you exit the tri-oval. So that provides some interesting tidbits for the restarts.
Almost turn number 1.
Yeah, basically. See, good restart there from Rick Ward. He can really go bottom to top if he wants. Yeah. Everyone else there shuffling.
Checked out to their own little pack. And you got Paul Irving, that third car in line on the bottom. And then up top, it's Adam Capps, Gary Lewis, Bobby Tinch, Matthew Robinson working the third lane again.
Yep, they're 3 wide again as they roll off turn number 4. Ooh, some tight squeezing there. Rick Ward on the bottom, Adam Capps in the middle, and then on the top, it's Matthew Robinson to the lead. And look who's behind him. It's Cliff Mullins.
And Cliff is going to come and return the favor. Remember, Matthew Robinson pushed Cliff Mullins to the lead a bunch of times. On the last one, we got Trump. Whoa.
Oh, there they go. Adam Capps spinning. And there's another wreck. Rick Ward, it's the big one at Talladega. Happened in the front of the field. Adam Capps spun one way. Rick Ward spun another. And there was virtually nowhere to go for the cars behind.
Yeah, that collected a lot of the race cars tonight. We're going to get a good look at the replay here. You see Rick Ward, though, pulling through the grass. Looks like he's going to be one of the few that will continue on. Man, we'll have to see exactly what happened there on the replay. I saw Adam Capps get turned there on the bottom. Looked like he tried to come down in front of the 34. Here's a good look at the replay. It's exactly what happened. He got sent around, then right up into the 69 and Gary Lewis. That was a hard hit there as well.
Look like, what car is that? Is that in a Shugart?
Yeah, that's the
car behind Rick Ward.
Yep.
Yeah, car behind Rick Ward tapped him after Rick Ward had contact from Adam Capps in the 55. You'll see it again here. You'll see Adam Capps coming down thinking he's clear. Could have been a little bit of neck code, although I don't think it
not
was.
Clear, it looks like, yep.
No, not clear, and just comes down, spins. And then right here you'll see Anna Sogok hit the bumper of Rick Ward. And then that's what causes part 2 of this big wreck.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
That little tap there.
Yep, that's all it takes in these cars, man. They do not like to be pushed. And that hooked the 34 right up into the 69. The 66 is in it. But it's more probably easier to count the cars that aren't involved. So you see the 4 scrape by there. Wow, how about that? I didn't even notice that Jordan Berry there got clipped. And he went spinning as well. But is that the 9 of Ryan Swan driving through there? A bunch of cars trying to avoid this thing. But man, was this a big one here halfway?
Yeah, and also in that was Caleb Steimer, and he had that penalty when he was making his green flag pit stop. Luckily, he was on the lead lap, but he was in the back for that wreck. And that was our one to go replay presented by Swift Lifestyles. Fans, be sure to visit our sponsor Swift Lifestyles for clean supplements to help improve your focus and gaming. Use discount code AREA iRacing, AREA iRacing for 15% off your entire order.
Matthew Robinson stays out.
I give a big thanks to Swift Lifestyles and their support of the Swift Lifestyle Pro Series. And yep, Matthew Robinson staying out.
He wants his $10.
Yeah, one of the lone drivers not involved in that wreck, and it looks like he will take home the $10.
So somewhat of a victory there. A little halfway break, $10 for Matthew Robinson for avoiding that big one as well. So double win for the 40. We'll see if he can get the real checkered flag here in another 37 laps.
And that happens a lot here. Jake, I think we've talked about this before, but the iRacing spotter is, that a lot of the drivers are using isn't really good about telling you exactly where a car is. I know I use Digital Race Engineer, who's a little bit better at it. I don't know if you use an add-on.
No, I get what you're saying there. I use the iRacing spotter myself, but yeah, no, I definitely know that there is some inaccuracies there. I mean, I guess there's inaccuracies in real spotters as well. So not what the 55 needed there. That definitely wasn't clear. Came down, and yeah, kind of triggered that one. So Hunter, I don't really know where to go from here. We got a lot of cars tore up.
Yeah, a lot of cars tore up. We have 17 who are still out on the racetrack, some of which were involved in that wreck. Then you got drivers in the back like Mark Patterson, Rick Ward, Gary Lewis. They're all still on pit road assessing the damage there, including Nick Halda. this helps Sean Corcoran again. He had issues early on in the race, so he'll get another lap back. Dustin Carroll there, you see 7 laps down, 23rd. Only DNF so far tonight has been James Shanewolf, and he's had pedal issues ever since qualifying. There you see Rick Ward, and believe that right front is not there, which is not a good sign. And that's unfortunate for Rick Ward, too. He lucked out with that first caution while on pit road. So he was able to restart up front. Yeah, a lot of tore-up cars. There's Nick Halda right there. Gary Lewis also had a front row seat to Rick Ward, spinning back.
That's a tough break for Nick Halda, man. I was wondering if he could go and get his second win on a super speedway. Doesn't look like it'll happen, though, with that race car tonight. But, man, I was going through the replay again, Hunter. That 37 car of Cliff Mullins was running second. He was pushing Matthew Robinson to the lead, and when that wreck happened, he got clipped in the left rear, right in front of the pack, went spinning, did a full 360, kept on going. I don't see any damage on that 37 car.
That's the best case scenario.
Yeah, he got very, very lucky that a lot of drivers, honestly, for as big as that wreck could have been, the back half of the field, Jordan Berry specifically was the one I saw, did a great job checking up and missing those race cars that were spinning. So not as big of a wreck as it could have been. All that means, though, is we got more cars to tear up before this thing's over with.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to take a look at another look. I believe this is the 37 of Cliff Mullins and him getting clipped. You'll see it here.
Yeah, Cliff's got a big thank you note to the rest of the field for missing him here, I'm going to guess, because he barely got clipped. I wasn't even sure if he did or not, but when I saw him go for this slide, I said, oh, man, it can get bad. But everybody missed him just barely. You see the 9 Ryan Swan go low there. That was great replay there. Yeah.
Yeah, now he's gonna restart in the front row with Matthew Robinson. Those two, best teamwork I've seen from anyone tonight. It's just those two that can just shake and bake up to the front, and they were the only ones on that third groove. They made their own groove on the outside. They put the outside lane in the middle. That's how fast these guys are.
Yeah, the 40 and the 37, I agree with you 100%, Hunter. Those two have been able to hook up better than anybody else tonight, and they've honestly been the only two I feel like we've seen that can really lay the bumper to one another. Would you disagree? I don't think we've seen anybody else be able to do that.
No, unless earlier on we had JJ Wang and Caleb Steimer just keeping that bottom rolling. But yeah, it's just nuts to see from Matthew Robinson. Just, well, I can be in the back, or I could just go up to the front in 2 laps. Which way do you want it?
Did not
take long one bit. So Matthew Robinson on the inside is going to bring us back to green flag racing here. 35 laps left at Talladega. It's Matthew Robinson and Cliff Mullins on the front row. Dominic DeLeo, JJ Wang, 3rd and 4th. Rounding out the top 5 is Bobby Tinch. Green flag flies once more at Talladega.
And now it's down to the real restart for the end of the race here. We got 36 laps to go. And it's going to be Cliff Mullins up top, Matthew Robinson down on the bottom. We'll see if these two decide to continue working together or if they decide to try to race each other heads up. Look at Dominic DeLeo, though, Hunter. Just a caution to go. We thought he was down and out. He's right back up into the mix. He's running 3rd.
Caleb Steimer also. He's that 3rd car on the outside lane. He was involved in that most recent accident, or the big one.
And look who he's pushing.
JJ Wang. They were in the back, and now they're up front again.
Yeah, the dancing partners all around this field have found a way to link up once again somehow.
Although it's interesting because they were working their way, staying single file on the bottom and not, making any sudden movement. It's going to be interesting to see how they react working on the top groove.
And you see that 3 wide further back in the pack. Ryan Swan's one of those drivers where that's not helping him, because if those guys end up losing the draft in the back, they're not going to have a chance at this thing unless they get a caution here towards the end. But how about that? New leader out front, the 37 of Cliff Mullins. He gets a push from JJ Wang this time. He goes to the front. He's going to drop right back down in front of his favorite dancing partner, the 40 Robinson.
Sorry about that. I was looking at race control saying I guess the 55 had a shifting issue on the restart there.
Now when we see the pack all formed up, bunched up again into one, you got the bottom groove, which is more has more cars, although both lanes are evenly organized. It's just outside. You'll get that run there from J.J. Wang, trying to lock himself in the playoffs, along with Caleb Steimer.
Yeah,
working together on that outside.
This win means a lot for a few people tonight, but none more than Caleb Steiner, J.J. Wang, Dominic DeLeo. Those guys that are outside the playoff picture are looking to lock themselves in. You nailed it there, Hunter. So they're definitely going to give it everything they've got.
And now look who's in the third car on the outside. It's Eric Shugart. He started dead last in this race. Now he's working his way up towards his top 5 with a shot still to win.
And right behind him, the 3 of Kevin Hayes. That was the other guy we talked about, Hunter, when we saw the starting grid and we saw him at the
car
back.
on the wall back there.
We knew that number 3 would find his way towards the front, and he's doing it again. Now it looks like Caleb Steimer is looking high, potentially around his teammate J.J. Wang, and they're going to go 3 wide for the 4th spot there.
Well, now that just disorganized the outside, so the bottom's going to pull away quite a bit now.
Yeah, and it might be like this for the rest of the race. Once that high side kind of gets disorganized like that, it's really hard for them to build up enough cars that are willing to go back up there again. But as soon as I say that, Dominic DeLeo is going to take over the lead on the high side and try to run this train back to the front, and he's got a good push from the 00. He's got a huge run down the back straightaway.
Say the only way they can get back up is if cars from the bottom jump to the top in front of them. Dominic DeLeo did just that. Now he's side by side looking to take the lead away.
And it was a great push from J.J. Wang there, too. I'm not entirely sure if he laid the bumper necessarily to him, but he got close enough to where it felt like it for the 21 to get a huge run like that. He's doing it again down the front straightaway here. Dominic DeLeo is going to be our leader when we hit this start-finish line. And the bumper is there. The bumper is on the 21 car.
Yeah, we saw what happens when another car hits the bumper, the car in front of them, and creates a gigantic wreck. So hoping we don't see that again, at least not yet.
JJ, though, he was taking that chance to try to get that 21 out front, and it almost paid off for him. The 37, though, and the 40 of Robinson on the bottom, they're going to rebound pretty well and get a good run down the backstretch this time, and they're going to stay even. And I'm not sure what's going on here with Cliff Mullins. He's calling out.
Oh, whoa, car on the wall. It's a lap car. Lap car just slammed into the wall right in front of the leaders.
The 51 of Patterson.
Yeah. I was wondering. I said, I'm not sure what's going on with the 37 Cliff Mullins. He's calling out to go high. And then I figured out he was talking about the lap car in front of him. So Mark Patterson there narrowly getting out of the way. And it's going to cause the 21 and the 00 to get a huge run. And they're going to take the race lead. JJ's going to drop low on DeLeo and take it by himself.
Boy, an unreal cycle of events there. I'm not really sure what to say about that, but it just brought this top just a big run.
Yeah, and it was J.J. Wang. He pushed the 21 out front, and then before DeLeo could go low, J.J. did it himself. Now Caleb Steimer is going to push the 21 out front.
Boy, things are looking squirrely. Here comes Steimer on the bottom.
He did this.
Caleb Steimer jumping to the bottom. Now he's going to have his teammate J.J. Wang pushing him. Now Robinson jumping up to that outside.
Hey, Ryan Schwann moving up to the top 4 up to the high side.
Robinson's going to the back. He doesn't like what he's seeing up there. He knows those guys are pushing.
I don't blame him.
Look at up front. They're side by side now. It's DeLeo again on the outside getting pushed, and it's Eric Shugart in the number 2. So just about everybody inside the top 10 is taking turns beating the back bumper of the number 21 car.
They're up here racing like it's the last lap every lap.
Yeah, no kidding.
Here comes DeLeo with a big run on the outside. He's got Eric Shugart pushing him. Cliff Mullins has now jumped into the third car on the bottom lane. In the third lane, we got, well, it looked like Ryan Swan was going to go up there. I believe that's Sean Corcoran that's going to go another lap down. Is that Sean Corcoran?
Yes, that's Sean Corcoran there in the 22. Whoa, we got another slow car. It was Rick Ward pulling off the track there. That was close as well. So a couple lap cars getting moved around from the lead pack. Corcoran, though, to his credit, we said he started 4 laps down, Hunter, but because of all the chaos we saw, he's actually up to 17th now, just from sticking around in this race.
Yeah, 17th. He's only 2 laps down, so a couple of yellows away from getting back in this thing. They are aggressively pushing and side drafting here at Talladega.
Still no change now. Now it looks like exactly what we saw at the start of the race. You got the 18 and the 00 on the bottom hooked together. for Infinite Gaming. This is what we saw the first 25 laps of this race. Will it be what we see the last 25 laps of this race?
I'm going to go on a limb and say no, because anything can happen here at Talladega in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, I agree. And plus, we've seen the 37, the 40, the 21 of Dominic DeLeo. Those guys have gotten huge runs on the high side of the racetrack where they've been able to clear those guys on the bottom. So we'll see if he can do it again. Looks like the 37 is actually going to back out of the two in front of him. He's going to back off of them a little bit, and that's going to allow the 21 of Dominic DeLeo to get another huge run down the back straightaway. This
an absolute huge run. Yeah, I mean a huge run.
He's almost clear of the 18, and no. He's not going to drop down, it looks like.
Lap traffic right in front of the group here at the number 69.
This is insane with the lap traffic.
Thankfully, these guys are staying up high.
Gary Lewis.
Are moving up high, at least, at the very last moment.
Most of these guys are on the bottom, but those that are sticking it on the outside still in it.
Yep. And all it takes is the right push at the right time to get back up front. With Eric Shugart, that number 2, I would trust him quite a bit. We saw him do it at Daytona. He was able to just about win that race in October. Now back here at Talladega, he's back up front with 26 laps to go. That number 2 car is looking pretty strong. And now Ryan Swan's going to join them on the high side. So we got 4 race cars on the top. DeLeo, Shugart, Kevin Hayes, and Ryan Swan. Looks like they might get some help here eventually from Dustin Carroll and Gary Lewis that are further back on the top, but those 4 drivers up high are really, really strong plate racers, so I'd keep an eye on those.
Definitely gotta keep an eye out, especially with this many laps remaining. They could be orchestrating a plan for the final 5 laps or so.
So I do like what I'm seeing from the 18 of Caleb Steimer and the 00 JJ Wang, though. Those 2 drivers have pretty much decided that they like with the 18 out front and they like the 00 behind them. They haven't really deferred too much away from that plan, and if possible, they try to get to the bottom and just stay hooked up, and we've seen it for almost half this race, probably over half this race at this point. So Caleb Steimer having a career night here in area, definitely the most laps he's led. He qualified on pole, and he's still leading this thing with 25 laps to go.
And they like being on the bottom, too.
Yeah,
they didn't want to be on the outside for too long.
Not one bit. The only time they were on the outside, whoa, that was a sketchy push there from 00 for a moment. Only time we saw him on the outside was when they had to push DeLeo out front, and then they quickly got around him and dropped to the bottom.
Maybe that's why Cliff Mullins is keeping his distance from the 2 cars in front of them on the bottom.
I thought it was a strategy ploy to try to stay off of them so the high side can generate a run. But I think you're right. I think he might just be trying to keep some distance just in case a wreck breaks out between those 2. Still 24 laps to go now. Quickly ticking away to the end of this thing in the Chop Shop 200.
Still Caleb Steimer leading with teammate JJ Wang on the bottom. Then on the outside, you got Dominic DeLeo leading the way with Eric Shugart, who started dead last, worked his way up inside the top 5. Also doing that, Kevin Hayes. He also started from deep in the field.
Well, hopefully this is how this thing finishes, Hunter. My scoring shows that last time at the stripe, Dominic DeLeo and Caleb Steimer were dead even. 0 1,000ths of a second separating the 21 and the 18 at the start-finish line last time around. So if that's the finish of this race, oh man, I don't know if we can get much better than that. 0.000 separated them.
I think there'll be more contact.
Yeah.
So rolling through, we're nearing, if we keep going green these next handful of laps or so, we might see some guys come down pit road for green flag pit stops.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about the pit strategy to all this. You're right. These guys have to come down and get fuel at least one more time. Everybody does. I don't think anybody's going to be good to make it from the end either. So that'll add a whole nother wrinkle to this. We already saw some drivers have some issues on their first green flag pit stop. They got to do it again. I like that outside line though, Hunter. I like what DeLeo is doing. I like the way that number 2 of Shugart looks. I like the way the 3 looks. I like the way the 9 looks. I think those 4 drivers, if they stay linked up, man, especially at the end of this thing, I would be pretty confident in those 4.
I wouldn't count out Caleb Steimer or JJ Wang just yet.
No, not
They
at all.
could, they could surprise you at the very end.
22 to go. Now the next question is, when is there going to be that final pit stop that these guys all are going to have to make? This race is got maybe 28 laps. We saw was the most they can go on fuel. Or our last caution.
No, it was 31.
30 laps, Rick Ward.
30
Yeah,
laps
Rick
for
Ward won 30 laps.
But either way, our last caution was lap 40 is when we took the green flag. So those guys aren't going to be able to make it 35 laps. So the whole field's got at least one pit stop left to go.
All right, the people who've been out the longest was DeLeo, Mullins, and Robinson all have 22 laps, and Travis Beckner. Everybody else around 17.
So we can see anywhere from lap 60, Hunter, you'd say, to 70? I know it's a wide window, but...
It is a wide window, but it could very well be that window.
I can't imagine having to pit with 10 to go, man. Well, I'm just saying, if I was these guys, I'd want to get on pit road sooner than later. Because if you pit with 5 to go, I mean, that just feels sketchy.
Could see someone try to pull a Greg Biffle and win 40 seconds in front of the field on fuel.
They're going to have to do something. Speaking of that, I mean, we saw, which we'll have to look forward to the next 3 nights of racing, we saw the Samson domination at Daytona in the Lodge Box Series where they were able to basically win by 40 seconds off of pit strategy. So we've seen a lot in this league so far, and I wouldn't count out these next 3 nights of racing being even better than what we're seeing tonight.
I wouldn't count these out just yet. Oh, looked like a peek through the middle from JJ Wang. Oh, squirrely driving there from JJ Wang. He was flirting with 3 wide. He was flirting with it, but then thought twice, maybe 3 times to not do that. Oh, man, what a decision there from JJ Wang. That could have ended not only his race, but plenty of drivers behind him.
That was close. Now DeLeo, look at that. He's going to drop down to the bottom. He's going to tuck in right behind those 3 drivers. I think he said, enough of that. You know, I'll take a break here for a moment.
Or it could be him coming down pit road shortly.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, you mentioned it. He was the longest. He stayed out.
Yep,
so
only 3 drivers on that outside. Shugart, Hayes, and Ryan Swan there.
It's gonna be all about who you have going with you guys. I mean, if you can get 2 or 3 drivers to come down with you, pit whenever you're able. But if you go by yourself, troubles.
Yeah, don't want to go by yourself for sure. So I would imagine we'd see the radio start picking up here in the next few laps about guys trying to formulate a plan to come down together. And if that is the case, you got to look right at the drivers who we saw earlier pit in a big pack. And that was the Audible Racing cars of Paul Irving, Justin Anasogok, and they also brought down the One Mind to Design team of Forrest Smith and Gary Lewis. So there's a lot of drivers there in that camp that pitted together on the first run. If they do it again, it might pay off for them.
Although there's only 3 cars on the outside, they are still putting up a fight with JJ Wang and Caleb Steimer leading that bottom groove.
And then
Saw Shugart peeking to the lead. Go on.
Just as a side note, if I was Sean Corker on here, I would just run this thing till it's dry, and hopefully you get a caution when you're 2 laps down instead of 3 laps down, so you get a lap back that way, and then get a free pass also, so you go from 3 down to 1 down. But obviously, that's a very specific situation, and also is going to take a lot of luck for the 22. But he is the first car lap down. He's 3 laps down, though, in 17th. But right now, he would get the free pass. 16 cars still in the lead lap. All 16 of them also are in this big front pack, about 2 seconds apart from race leader Eric Shugart to last place Matthew Robinson again, by the way. Or excuse me, it's Brian Dixon. Matthew Robinson's 15th, Brian Dixon's 16th, tailing the end of this pack.
I have yet to see anyone go down pit road.
Yeah, I think the window opens probably next lap here, right around 60. Oh, look at that move from Kevin.
That was a close move. That was a wow, that move took the words out of my mouth. That was how good of a move it was and how risky of a move it was from Kevin Hayes.
It was smart though. He's getting down to the bottom as soon as he can because he knows he's going to have to come down pit road soon, as well as all these other guys. So The next people we'll see doing that exact thing are going to be the 2 of Eric Shugart and the 9 of Ryan Swan, because they're going to have to get to the bottom if they plan on coming to pit road. But it's a good run up top. I mean, those 2 cars alone staying even with 2nd and 3rd place is a pretty impressive feat.
It's just when there's one car on the outside and you're on your own.
Yeah. But I'm still impressed that they're even able to get this run. I mean, Shugart's actually pulling for the race lead here with help from Ryan Swan. It's going to be tight here at the stripe.
Yeah, it is going to be. It's still tight.
23.
There's only 2 cars on that outside. Only 2 cars on the outside line, and it's still dead, close to dead even at the line.
15 to go here. I got to give a big shout out to the Twitch channel right now, guys. 44 viewers. We appreciate that. That's awesome as our first race back here in 2022. And hopefully this finish will live up to the hype here with 15 to go.
Oh, Dominic DeLeo just jumped back down the outside.
And we got calls. 21 just called out Dominic DeLeo. He's pitting. And in a subsequent move, you see the 37 to Cliff Mullins go high. So I'd assume that the 37 will not be pitting. Who's going to go with DeLeo, though, is the real question. Oh, here they come.
Oh, we got to watch Caleb Steimer.
We got the 9 of Ryan Swan is in as well. The 18 of Steimer. And
contact. JJ Wang and Swan had a little bit of a fender bender there.
Don't look too worse for wear, though. Yeah, I don't think it'll affect them too bad, but definitely not contact you want to have. As these drivers now.
I was busy looking at Caleb Steimer.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, you had to watch it. You saw the issues getting on pit road the first time, and we saw issues again there with JJ Wang. Up front, though, Cliff Mullins now cycles to the lead with Jordan Berry, Travis Beckner, and Eric Shugart. That 22 you see of Sean Corcoran is 3 laps down in this front pack. Great strategy call, by the way, from the 3 of Ryan Swan, or the 3 of Kevin Hayes and the 9 of Ryan Swan. They took no tires, fuel only in their race cars, and they're out in front of that pack. Here comes the rest of the leaders now coming down. Oh, it's going to be they overshot it a little bit. That's the 57 of Jordan Berry.
He went in the grass.
We'll have to see if that's a penalty or not. Sometimes it is, but he did get within the cone, so it's a matter of pit road speed and if they decide to give him a penalty or not here. But he's in. He brought the 37 of Cliff Mullins as well as Travis Beckner. And the 2 of Eric Shugart.
Matthew Robinson is yet to pit, and he's going on 30 laps.
And it looks like Jordan Berry actually did get a penalty for that. So the 57's being held in his pit box now. Cliff Mullins as well, the 37 car with a penalty.
Oh, that is huge. That is huge. He was one of the front runners.
So we see the 22 of Sean Corcoran doing exactly what I was talking about. He's staying out and he's up front. So right now, instead of being 3 laps down, he's only scored 2 laps down. But now the problem is the field just lapped Jordan Berry and Cliff Mullins because of the penalty.
But we're closing in on 10 to go, and now I have no clue who's in the best position to win.
Well, we still know that Jeremy Horn, Paul Irving, all these guys up front still need to pit. It's a little bit confusing because the lead car is the 22 of Sean Corcoran, who's 3 laps down, and then right behind the 81 is the 69 of Gary Lewis, who's 10 laps down. So it's a little bit confusing, but that front pack still all have to come down pit road. And there's the 3 and the 9 of Ryan Swan. They are the first cars off of pit lane. So essentially, they should cycle out to the lead. However, I don't think they're making enough time being a 2-car pack as opposed to the 10-car pack that's still yet to come down pit road. They're going to need some drafting help, essentially.
Those top 6 in front of them, they all have to come down pit road.
Yeah, but they're in such a big pack that they're going so much quicker than the 9 and the 3 were there. So essentially, the 9 and the 3... they're giving up here. I can tell you the exact number. They're running a 51.8, and actually they're matching the lap times. Look at that. So it might work out for them if these guys come down pit road still. It'll be tight off it. It'll be a tight race to the end.
Starting to catch up with the group in front of them. The 3, the 9, the 45, the 18, and the 21 are now coming to help, and that'll bring them all up to the same level with that 5-car pack.
Yep. And knowing that, though, that means that this front pack of 6 that's kind of mixed in with some lap traffic, Paul Irvin, Jeremy Horn, Justin Anasogok, all these guys right here on your screen, they need to come down pit road sooner rather than later to give themselves a fighting chance to the end. And
So we're
see
now
what they decide to
crossing
do there.
inside 10 laps to go here. These next 10 laps will be brought to you by Sim Speed Shop. I'd like to give a big thanks to Sim Speed Shop and their support of the Sim Speed Shop Cup Series. Racers can visit their website at www.simspeedshop.com to find multiple items to complete their virtual racing steps, such as button boxes, wheels, racing gear, and much more. That's www.simspeedshop.com. These last 10 laps here at Talladega for race number 10 of the Araya Sim Speed Shop Cup Series, the Chop Shop 200. Coming down to
it, man.
yeah, it's coming down to it. I was going to say fuel mileage, but not really as to who can stretch the longest, although we could see a late race yellow spice some things up.
Absolutely. Well, regardless, even with that caution, we know the front six still have to pit. You can double check me, by the way. Those front six still have to pit, right?
They still do.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page here. But I know
Matthew
those
Robinson's going on 34 laps without pitting, the longest of any driver.
with the caution also, though. That caution flag
Yes.
helps where he stayed out. So I'm sure he was saving some fuel there. But yeah, I would think he needs to come in ASAP, though. I don't think he's going to be able to stay out for too much longer. But man, he's by himself, Hunter. He's got no drafting help. He's going to be giving up a ton of time right now. Jeremy Horn is our race leader who's with some lap cars, and he's kind of stretched it out on Robinson. And he's actually closed in onto the lap cars of Sean Corcoran and JJ Wang. And Wang is the last car on the lead lap. So a little bit confusing right now until we get these final few guys on the pit road. Essentially,
I mean, absolutely confusing.
Well, here's essentially what the race lead is now. Go to the 21 of Dominic DeLeo. There's a big old pack, and that's going to be the fight to the end for the win right here. And it's Kevin Hayes, actually, who's now out front. Caleb Steimer right behind him, and Travis Beckner, Ryan Swan in the 9, and the 57 of Jordan Berry. Those guys will cycle out to the race lead, with the exception of Jordan Berry being one lap down.
It's a 6-car pack here.
But we still need those front six to pit to, solidify that. So a little bit confusing. Jeremy Horn right here is the leader, and you see Robinson actually caught back up to him with some more sprinkled in lap cars. So once these guys get onto pit road, we'll know what we have here. But we're getting down to it, Hunter. Only 8 to go.
I think Jeremy Horn is using those lap cars as a way of saving fuel, so he's not burning up as much fuel. Because Robinson's still going on, like, he's going 36 laps. So if he can go 36 laps, Jeremy Horn can try and stretch into 36 laps. I don't know. It's going to be tough trying to make it without.
Go back to the 4 and the 88 here, Harold, because those guys are saving fuel right now. They're going 170 miles, 160 miles around this racetrack. This entire pack is saving fuel. I don't know if it's a problem, but the next closest that have pitted are 19 seconds behind these guys. So they're going 6,700 RPM, Hunter. That's about about 3/4 throttle in these race cars. But they're in a pack doing it. I've never seen fuel strategy like this at a plate track.
This is hurting my brain. Talladega is never like this.
I have never seen 4 cars in a pack all fuel saving together. So Robinson is
there we go.
That's the 40. The 81 of Jeremy Horn, he is still out on the racetrack. But I don't think Horn's got a shot at making it. But supposedly, the 4 and the 88 are not going to pit. Supposedly, the
Matthew Robinson went how long? 36, 37 laps?
About
Jeremy Horn might be able to stretch it that far.
What is he at? How many laps is he at?
He's at 31, 32.
With 6 to go.
It's gonna be close. I don't know if he can do it.
But also, on the flip side to all of this that we got going on, the Paul Irvin pack that's saving fuel, they are giving up close to 4 seconds a lap on the rest of the field. And the rest of the field is only 14 seconds behind them. So the math is telling me that with 5 to go, they're going to be able to easily make up that 14-second difference.
Oh, I mean, without a doubt, not going full throttle at Talladega definitely has its consequences.
Yeah, look, they're already down to what, 11 seconds on our ticker now between 5th and 6th?
Yep. 10 and a half. It's going down super quick.
But with 5 to go, so they should get there. And plus, once they get to the point of no return, once that pack of Kevin Hayes, once they get the draft of those guys, they'll suck up in a hurry. So outside of that, the only question is, can Jeremy Horn now make it to the end? The 81, who's got the big lead. He's out 17 seconds over second place.
Uh,
I don't know, man. I don't think Jeremy
I don't
Horn
know.
can make it.
I don't see him stretching it that far.
What lap is he about to be on? If you can check for me here, because he's got 4 to. Okay, so he's got to go 38 laps. There's no way. I know they had a caution in the mix, which is why Robinson went to the 36 that he did. I don't think he can stretch 38 laps. There's no way.
It would be a heartbreaker to run out on the white flag lap.
So look at.
I don't know why, but I'm getting that sense that that's what's going to happen.
I don't even know if he'll make it to the white, man. It's going to be close for him, but I don't know. I'm still shocked that the 4 and the 88 and those guys are going to try to make it to the end. Speaking of that, though, that pack of Kevin Hayes, Caleb Steimer, Travis Beckner, Dominic DeLeo, they are catching them in a hurry. They're only 6 seconds back now with 4 to go, and that might end up being the race for the win.
It very well could be. All depends on what the pack in front of them does. They stay out also.
Well, I've heard they're committed to staying out. Jeremy Horn looks like he's got help trying to save fuel, but I just don't know if he'll be able to save an extra 3 laps, essentially, to what we've seen the highest guy go so far on one run. So that pack led by Kevin Hayes, they are about to catch the pack of 4 cars in the next lap or so that have actually picked up the speed. I don't think they're not saving fuel anymore as much. They're definitely trying to pick up the pace a little bit because they know that pack behind them is coming in a hurry.
Without a doubt, yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
But they're still saving a little bit. I mean, 6,900 RPM is not full out throttle here at Talladega for sure. I mean, look at the RPM for Paul Irving, then let's go look at the RPM for Kevin Hayes, and that'll tell you about how much they're saving in terms of throttle, because 6,800 to 7,300, and that's in the middle of the corner for the number 3 here. So definitely a big difference. They're still gaining over a second a lap, and once they get here to the tri-oval, they're almost going to be at the point where they can sniff out the draft of those 4 drivers also.
Jeremy Horn pitted.
Okay.
I almost didn't see it. Jeremy Horn pitted. So Forrest Smith now to the lead. 2 laps to go at Talladega.
So this is it. And now it's down to these 4 drivers, and if that pack can catch them, led by Kevin Hayes, that are only 2.5 seconds back, but they only got 2 laps to get there.
Oh, I feel like this might be a recipe for disaster if they do catch this pack.
They're getting there. They once they get to that draft, the run that they're going to have is going to be significant. And then the race is on between them. We're not even considering the fact that all those drivers want to try to win the race on their own right. So we got 4 drivers: Forrest Smith, Justin Anasoga, Paul Irvin, and Brian Dixon. And here comes the train.
Here we go. Yeah, the train is coming. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be an interesting last lap here for the Chop Shop 200. Forrest Smith might not even take the white flag lap. Here comes Kevin Hayes on the outside. 1 more lap to go at Talladega.
And Hayes blows by him with the help of Caleb Steimer. Now they're going to drop to the bottom. The race is on between the 18 of Steimer.
Steimer's got no help.
He turned.
He turns the 3 of Hayes. Hayes is spinning in the pack.
Now DeLeo, it's DeLeo up front behind Travis Beckner. Here comes Ryan Swan in the 9. It's a 3-car race out front. What can DeLeo do in the number 21?
Oh, he's going to have help from the 9 of Swan. No, Swan's going to look low. Ryan Swan taking over the 2nd spot. Travis Beckner, what's he got to do? He's going to hold on to that bottom. Dominic DeLeo has no help. There they come off turn 4 for the final time. Contact! Swan and DeLeo into the wall. Beckner holding on. Here comes Caleb Steimer with a run on the inside. You can go below the yellow on the last lap. Here they come. 3 wide across the stripe. They touch. It's Caleb Steimer. Caleb Steimer wins at Talladega in an unbelievable finish.
Are you kidding me? Caleb Steimer.
That is legal on the last lap. You can go below the double yellow line. Caleb Steimer used that to his advantage, and he steals it here at Talladega. Unreal finish.
Wow.
That is huge for Caleb Steimer, and it wasn't a clean victory either, because we need to take a replay on this last lap. Here he is. He pushed the 3 in front of this slower pack, and then he tried to make his move, but he had no help, and then the 3 just kept coming down. Or no, he went up a little bit, definitely spun the 3 around. Surprisingly, no one hit Hayes, and then it's just a mad dash to the finish here. Travis Beckner was trying to hold on to the lead at Dominic DeLeo, Ryan Swan. Caleb Steimer's in 5th here when they go into turn 3. And so you see the run there from Ryan Swan, Cliff Mullins also.
Look at Steiner.
Dominic
Look
DeLeo's
at the
on the
run he
outside.
had.
Swan and DeLeo, they go into the wall. But yeah, the 18 had a big run there on the bottom, and he used that to his advantage because you can go below the yellow line here on the last lap. And it was contact from Travis Beckner. But, I mean, what a drive. What a victory for Caleb Steimer.
And he's doing the burnouts on the front straightaway. And the donuts are very large for Caleb Steimer. What a victory for the 18 and Infinite Gaming. On the pole, Hunter, we saw the strategy play out all race long where he was up front and doing what he could to hold on to that race lead with his teammate JJ Wang behind him. And he ekes it out at the finish line. Holy moly, what a finish. We'll get a chance to talk to Caleb Steimer here in a moment, Hunter. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and let's not forget, he had a penalty on pit road. He had a penalty on pit road earlier in the race. Now, that was backed out by a caution. He had to work his way from the back to the front, and he did just that. Huge win for the 18 of Caleb Steimer. That will definitely lock him into the playoffs.
That's a huge win to lock him in. So he's doing his Polish victory lap. Let's go ahead. Let's just go talk to him right now. Caleb Steimer, the winner here at Talladega with an amazing move on the last lap. Probably one of the craziest laps we've seen all season long. Caleb Steimer, you are a winner in the Swift Lifestyles Pro Series.
Yeah, man.
I mean, talk us through that last lap, what you saw behind the steering wheel with all the chaos we saw going on. Lots of moves being made, lots of wrecking happening, and you win the race, Caleb. What does this mean for you, man?
It means really a lot to me. I mean, at the beginning of the race, during qualifying, I probably wasn't thinking that we weren't going to get the pole, but it turns out I did. Me and JJ wanted to keep on rolling it on until very to the last lap, until a lot of the green flag stops happen.
Hunter, you got anything?
Yeah, I would say take us through that first pit stop, because you sped coming on the pit road, and that puts you in a deep hole very early on.
Yeah. When I first was going in, I wasn't planning on like speeding. Team owner Garrett wanted to say keep on focusing on the speed and do not spin it out. I tried not to, but it didn't really end well on that.
I mean, I don't know if you see our broadcast here, but we got the shot across the finish line with you in the 45, 26 1,000ths of a second, Caleb. Man, I mean, this is a huge win. This locks you into the playoffs going forward, man. You obviously have teamed up with Infinite Gaming and Garrett Heath. Talk to us about what that means.
That means really much to me. I can't really thank anyone but Garrett and Infinite. No one, like, that was some really fun racing.
That's awesome, man. Well, we're going to let you go here and go celebrate with your team. I know Garrett's waiting on you down there, so we'll give you a chance to go talk to any shout-outs you want to give before we let you go?
I want to thank Infinite Racing, Iron Tracks, and my paint shop.
Absolutely. Hunter, anything you got for Caleb?
Congrats on the victory, man. It was fun to call up here in the booth. There was been like 7,000 wrecks on the last lap, and you drove through every single one. You definitely earned this victory, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
That was our race winner, Caleb Steimer. Now, to move on to heartbroken, I'm sure, second place, Travis Beckner. Here in the booth with us, Travis, man. I heard the groan when we moved you up, man. Second place, you got close to it, man. Talk to us about that last lap, and that's just that whole last run to the finish there, trying to catch that pack in front of you.
I thought I could win. It was. I didn't. Oh my god. I'm a loss for words.
I mean, you guys ran a great strategy catching up to that pack. You guys all got in line there, it looked like, and you guys were able to use the draft to catch them. Was there any doubt that you guys were going to get to that front four by the end of the race?
There was no doubt. We knew that we were going to catch them because they had to save fuel. Because
I hear it in your voice, man. It sounds like you're excited. I can tell that this race really meant a lot for you to try to get out there and get that win tonight, huh?
Yeah. Oh my God. I just.
Hunter, you got anything for Travis here?
Yeah. I just want to ask you this because I'm not sure if you were aware of it or not. But when you saw the 18 go below the yellow line, was there any chance like, oh, well, is that legal, or do I go down and block, or do I just let him go?
I thought it wasn't legal. So I was like, I'm just gonna let him go down there because I thought you couldn't pass under the yellow line.
Mm, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was wondering too. Obviously, either way, I mean, close finish down to the end. Travis, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to before we let you go here? And congrats on your second place finish.
Yeah. Everybody that raced tonight, everybody that raced tonight, you for helping me get on in this league. And my dad for buying hotspots so I can race.
There you go.
And mom.
Congrats on a second place, Travis, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Yep.
We're gonna move on to
Someone's got to sponsor that kid. He got no sponsors on the car, and he put it in second.
need to sponsor him a cold towel. It sounds like he sounded very excited still after this race, but I mean that's what it does, man. Racing at Talladega for the win like that, and let's get a chance to talk to third place finisher Brian Dixon. Somehow brings it home P3. Brian, talk to us about the race tonight you had, man. All of a sudden we look up on the pylon, and really no surprise, you brought it home third place, man. How'd you get it done?
I knew I had to save fuel, and that was the biggest thing. And I ran out of fuel in the trial, and I was just hoping no one was going to pass me.
I was looking for you there at the finish. I mean, there was a lot going on, and somehow first and second, 26 1,000ths of a second apart, and then 5.5 seconds back to our third place finisher, Brian. But talk to us about the race here all night, man. There seemed to be a lot of conservative racing early on, but then the thing really started to heat up there on the last lap.
Yeah, I'm new to the league. I keep to myself. I try to keep my car as clean as possible. I've watched broadcast. You guys say the same thing, and like tonight, I just wanted to stay clean, and I come up 3 and 4 there, and I seen smoke. I'm like, oh no, should I lift a little bit or shouldn't I lift? And I made it through it, and so I get pulled up in the broadcast, and I'm like, oh, I'll take it. And other than that, I mean, a lot of guys were doing it. The guys that I was following, they must all ran out of gas because I passed them just before the trial and before I ran out of gas.
I was gonna say, take us through that call you had to make of whether you want to come down pit road or just stick it to the end on strategy.
I'm like, well, certain people I'll pit with, and other guys I'm like, I don't know. And last minute I'm like, well, I just stayed out on the track. I'm like, well, I'm gonna wing it, try to get at least a top 3 for once, and here I am.
It worked out in the very end.
Yeah, I seen the pack coming. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know if that was the right idea or not, but hey, it all worked out, so I'll take it.
Well, Brian, we're going to let you go here, man. Congrats on a third place finish. Another solid run to add to your solid season. Will we see you back here on Wednesday night? And is there any shout outs you want to give?
Yes, I'll be racing Wednesday night this week, and I want to get a shout out to TW Signs and you guys for having me and the broadcast, because I watch it after I get done racing. So I appreciate it, guys.
Well, we appreciate that, and you did a heck of a job putting on a great show tonight, Brian. We'll see you Wednesday night, man.
All right, thank you, guys.
All righty.
All right. Yeah, Brian Dixon, your third place finisher. Now, we need to take a look at these results because they changed a lot from when they crossed the white flag. So Caleb Steimer steals it here for the Chop Shop 200, gets the win. Travis Beckner second. Brian Dixon, one of those that were staying out on fuel. 36 laps, by the way. Finished third. Matthew Robinson getting fourth, and then Forrest Smith getting the top 5.
Justin Anasogok brings it home with the P6. Brian Swan with that move there out of turn 4. I thought for a second my pick to win was going to be right, but he brings it home P7. Eric Shugart with a strong 8th place run. Jeremy Horton 9th, and Dominic DeLeo with that top 10.
At 11th place, we got Paul Irvin. 12th, Bobby Tinch. 13th, Kevin Hayes. 14th, Cliff Mullins. And 15th, Jordan Berry.
16th place, JJ Wang. What a strong night he had. Really thought he was going to be there at the end to win it. Sean Corcoran finishes 17th, 18th, Dustin Carroll, 19th, Gary Lewis. Rounding out the top 20 is Mark Patterson in the number 51 car. Final finishers tonight, Rick Ward in the 34, Nicholas Halda in the 87, Adam Capps in the 55, and James Shane Wolf finishes 24th in the number 31 car in tonight's Chop Shop 200. Man, lots of great racing tonight, and I just cannot wait for tomorrow night, Hunter.
I can't wait either. Let's take a look at our Elwood Designs race recap. Caleb Steimer getting the job done. Not sure if he led the most laps, although it looked like pretty close to it. Led 33, won the race. 2 cautions for 6 laps. Says 25 drivers, although there were 24 in the race. And Nicholas Halda with the fastest lap of a 49.134. Guys, any final thoughts before we head out? I mean, I'm after that, I'm speechless.
I'm excited for tomorrow and the next night and the next night. Talladega is electric, and it's playoff crunch time. You said it, 3 races to go, now 2 races left. Who's going to punch their ticket into the playoffs? Caleb Steimer, the first one to cash in this week. Tomorrow's going to be even more electric.
Absolutely. Harold, any final thoughts?
Well, Talladega definitely. We talked about Daytona. We really didn't see the big one. We saw the big one in Pocono, and in 2 weeks off, and they brought the pile up here to the ARCA series early in Talladega. Now, the trucks were the ones that actually launched a few of the drivers into outer space at Pocono. Yeah. So we're wondering if they're all going to be here tomorrow night for Cushy and me to take over the guys here at Talladega. But we'll definitely see tomorrow night with the truck series. It is our biggest car count normally from week to week. So I like to see as many trucks get out there. I like it when we end up pushing the limits to even where we're bigger than the pros, where we're running 38 truck fields.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that'll definitely be something. Oh, go on.
No, I was gonna say it's been a great truck series season. I'm excited for tomorrow night. You can go ahead, wrap it up, Hunter. Man, this has been an awesome night. I'm a little pumped up. I gotta settle down.
Yeah, you can catch the Northern Capital Truck Series here tomorrow night at Talladega at 8:30 Eastern on the Araya Twitch channel. And I think I'll do it. I'm really speechless from this race. I mean, what a finish. Caleb Steimer was at the top, then down to the bottom, back to the top again, this time taking the win on the final lap, using the rules to his advantage, passing below the double yellow line, which is legal on the final lap, taking the win away from Travis Beckner. From everyone up here in the booth, Harold Darner, executive producer, Jacob Bell, I'm Hunter Slevy saying so long, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
What an exciting race brought to you by Wendigo Studios. Here they come out of turn 4 to the white flag, and it's 1 to go. Thank you to all our sponsors, drivers, and viewers. We'll see you at the next turn.